All right, today I thought we'd have a bit of fun looking at a new hobby I have picked up. Not as like a full-time hobby, just a when I'm bored hobby. And I'm going to call it centrist trolling. That is a little bit harder to say than I was expecting to, but I do have mouth ulcers and I'm a little bit ill. But anyway, centrist trolling. Centrist trolling. I feel like maybe one of you can come up with a better word for it that's easier to say. Centrist trolling. Okay, so you know how arguing with people on the internet is really annoying, and most people who want to argue on the internet are very black and white. They're kind of extreme one position or the other, and it's very hard to find a middle ground of nuance. And I'm just realizing this mouth ulcer is making it really hard to talk, but I'll do my best. Finding the nuanced middle ground, shades of grey, actual intelligent discussion is incredibly difficult. Probably because most of the sensible middle ground, they don't want to get involved. And it's really the noisy extremists who they're noisy! And they drown everyone else out. They're unpleasant, so none of us want to get involved. And it's just like, what even is the point of talking to them? But I have come across, like, a fun thing to do when it comes to that. Centrist trolling. Now, when I say centrism, before anyone is like, oh, you're just a fence sitter and, you're part of the problem by not taking a stand on everything, blah, blah, blah. Calm down, little extremist, my little extremist friend. Centrism is a bit like atheism in the sense that, like, you can't really know for sure what someone thinks just by that label. Because yes, like, there's the overarching thing of you don't believe in God or you don't take a particular side. But it's more complex than that. Like, if you go and ask an atheist, what do you think about, this aspect of morality or whatever, you'll get different answers. Or like in terms of organizing, a lot of atheists will do their own thing. But then you've got, was it the Satanic Temple or some of those satanic groups, they turn out to actually be atheists who just like dressing up and having symbolism. Although some of them take it a bit too far, but whatever. I'm not involved, you do you. And yeah, like these sort of middle ground groups, they're not organized. Like, it's not like, I mean, there have been attempts at centrist parties, but they never really seem to get very far. And I think that's for a reason, because like people who are way to the left or way to the right, they tend to agree more on those extreme things and have a little bit less beef, although there is always infighting. But with centrism, like, it doesn't mean that I take the middle ground on everything. It means sometimes I lean left on a particular issue, sometimes I lean right on a particular issue, sometimes I'm just like, you know what, this is too complicated, or I don't know enough to take a hard position, so I'll just keep listening, I haven't decided yet. Like, there's different things like that. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about with centrism. Another thing I want to just quickly bring up before we get into it. You know when Trump did that thing, there was that thing way back his first presidency, and he's like, oh, there were good people on both sides, which is disingenuous. But like, if someone actually says that and they mean it instead of just trying to cover up for their own bullshit, that strikes me as like optimistic centrism. And what I am is pessimistic centrist. Like, that my views are pessimistic centrist in the sense that instead of saying there are good people on both sides, I think everyone's crap. There are bad people everywhere on both sides. I'm an equal opportunity hater. I'm just like disappointed with the world. I guess I am a misanthropist. I do have schizoid personality disorder and I'm chronically depressed, so I don't like anything. I am grumpy, and I can hear my brother, my disabled brother out there. He knows me as Grumpy Sister. He's scared of me, and if he keeps making noise, I will go out and scare him a bit. Anyway, I'll try not to get distracted. So, pessimistic centrism and centrist trolling. I just felt like stirring things up. So as some of you might know, where is it? Hello. There was this protest or demonstration in Sydney yesterday where like thousands of people went onto the Harbour Bridge, and there's footage. And I just came across it now. This page on Facebook, Mossman Collective, they are the local busybodies. If you want to know about local drama, they are on it, and they have contributors from everywhere. I don't know, it's the funniest thing to watch their gossip. Like, there is also a Mossman group. I think it's Mossman Living, and the amount of nonsense in there is also hilarious, but these ones are the real gossips. holy shit, the amount of stuff that they dig into. Anyway, so they got this footage. It was some of the earliest footage I happened to come across, because it's funny to see what the gossips are up to. I don't really follow a whole lot of other stuff. And yeah, as you can see, let me just, you get the idea. It was like a big, have I ruined everything? Have I ruined everything? Let me just make sure that's, oh no, what have I done? Now I'm obsessing. No, it's fine. I think I'm meant to press this, and then I can just like, yeah, okay, we get it. Oh, hello again. Anyway, so, I guess backstory for some of you overseas, there was a little bit of drama in even getting this protest approved, because, you know, the way that things work here, you have to give the cops a certain amount of notice, and in this case 8 days, but then the organizers are like, oh, 50,000 people are gonna turn up, and the cops panicked and took them to court, tried to stop the action going ahead. The judge is like, no, this is democracy. Protest went ahead. The official numbers that were reported yesterday is 90,000 people ended up turning up, and then there were, at some point during the protest towards the end, text messages went out telling everyone to stop where they are, stop trying to cross, and wait for instructions on how to leave the bridge safely. They were meant to go from the south side of the bridge, which is the city, to the north side of the bridge, and then disperse there, but they realized there's too many people, there's a bottleneck up at the north end of Sydney, there's no way they're going to be able to get everyone out safely. So yeah, they started turning people around. Apparently it was very confusing, but no one got hurt. They were worried about crowd crush. And, you know, I had seen the text message ones first, but then I saw this footage, and it's just like, I don't know if we can click through it a bit. Like, it's just, there's so many people. And this is only the north end of the bridge. Like, it's not even the south end where they all started. Oh, I was clicking the wrong thing, not realizing I had, let me just show you. Sorry, I did that a little bit too. So like, yeah, that's the very end of it. But then when you pan over, it's just like, yep, huge numbers of people. And so, you know, I know not to comment on anything political because you always get the weird, like, annoying types come out and being like, meh, I just want to have an argument and not really think with my brain, whatever. You get the bots coming out. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so what I wrote, I'm going to have to explain what I'm doing here because I think it was too subtle for all the numpties who turned up. But I said, wow, no wonder they're worried about crowd crush. Hope everyone gets home safe. Now, what I'm doing here, how is this centrist? Okay, for one thing, there's nothing really political or overtly political about what I've said. But what I've done is I've had a little bit of fun going, no wonder they're worried about crowd crush. That is essentially supporting the police. And the protesters don't like the police because the police tried to stop them from protesting. Now, in Australia, the cops are not as crazy as other countries like America. And also, crowd control here is better than some of the, if you watch any crowd control disaster channels, or like channels that have done videos on those things, you know that this can go horribly wrong. But anyway, the point is, the first half of my thing is sort of poking at the protesters, sort of being like, hey, the cops might have had a point. But then I turn the other way and I go, I hope everyone gets home safe. And that is kind of supporting the protesters because I don't want anything bad to happen to them. Like, yes, it's decent human being, whatever. But it's sort of poking at the people who hate the protesters by being like, you know, none of these people deserve to get hurt. A little bit subtle. I was actually expecting protesters to get more upset with me because, you know, like the whole implied support for the police view is there more obviously than me supporting the protesters. But that's not what happened because obviously all the protesters were at the protest and they're sharing with their friends their footage, whatever, but they're not looking at these gossips, right? So it was all the people who stayed home who were on the internet waiting for footage to write their shit about. And I guess, you know, these guys made it as a video, so Facebook spreads that stuff. It got an insane amount of response by the time, like, I was very early, so at that point I didn't know that this was going to get a little bit viral locally, but yeah, anyway. So as you can see, I got some interesting responses, and I'll go through what I responded, because I had fun with it. And if you want to have fun, like, sort of engaging, but also not engaging and doing the centrist thing, maybe this'll, yeah, anyway, so this first comment, and I'm not blurring out anyone's names because, for one thing, they commented in a public forum. If you go and look up this post, you can find them anyway. There's not really much point me censoring them. But also for another thing, I don't know how many of these are real people. So, as well as centrist trolling, we are also going on a bot hunt. And, yeah, so this first person, I am not the only person they commented this to. This is a copy-paste that they were just commenting on so many different things. And it took me a moment at first, like, they're quoting the Quran, I think. And, translation of the Quran. It's technically not the Quran if it's not in Arabic. I do have a translation somewhere and I never got around to reading it. Like so many other things. But yeah, so at first I wasn't really sure whether this person was pro or anti, but after a while, like, you know, at the bottom they're saying Muslim transmitted it. What do you mean by that? And I think what they're saying is like the Muslims have written this in their holy text, and so look how anti-Jew they are, and so I think it's anti-Muslim, this thing. Took me a while to think about it. And then how do you respond to that in a centrist way? Because they're being kind of provocative. Like, this is not really a Muslim versus Jew conflict. This is like the Israeli government versus Hamas, and then a whole lot of innocent, like, civilians who have gotten mixed up in the shit. You know, like, one of the things I hate about modern discussion of countries being in conflict is, like, they act like the entire country thinks the same way when actually it's the leaders. Like, it's not China who's the dickheads. It's the Chinese Communist Party, their leadership. They're the ones causing the trouble, not so much the Chinese people. You know, the Russian people mostly have no idea what's going on. They're not the ones attacking Ukraine. It's Putin and his cronies. And blah, blah. Anyway, you can, I don't care if you're an extremist and you can't see the nuance of that. Yes, there are people in the general population who are dicks, just like there are in this comment section. But as a whole, it's the leadership and a handful of dickheads who are the problem, and not your average people who are just trying to get by in their lives and just minding their own business, and whoops, now there's a war, now I'm dead, kind of thing. You know, most of us have no control over anything. Like, yeah, in Australia we can vote, and so we can kind of shift the narrative some ways, but leaders are still going to do what leaders are going to do, and is this whole protest going to do much? We'll see. But often a lot of these protests, you know, the government still does what the government does. And it is complicated because sometimes there are things that we aren't told as citizens. And yeah, I'm glad I'm not the one who has to figure out what are the best steps forward. But anyway, so they write all this quoting stuff. Oh yeah, the last hour will not come before the Muslims fight the Jews and the Muslims kill them and blah blah blah. The Stones will say, hey, there's a Jew here, come kill them, blah blah. So yeah, I think that's criticizing Islam. How I responded, instead of pushing back against the anti-Islamic whatever, I just said, okay, I'm not talking about Muslims and Jews, mate. I'm talking about the people in our city. Non-political, not what they were expecting. A lot of these people are expecting pushback when they leave these kinds of comments, and I know it's taken me like 14 minutes to get to the point. But anyway, maybe a few people have dropped off by now, hopefully. Have I upset the extremists yet? Now, this person eventually did leave a heart reaction, but by the time they did, the comments had been turned off for this because it attracted way too much attention. So, like, maybe, I don't know what side they think I'm on, but my goal was kind of to make them do a double take and think, wait a minute, is she on my side or their side? Because it's not about which side I'm on. I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on the side of nuance and sort of taking a wider view at it. Anyway, I had fun with that. That one was an easy one. And yeah, I didn't really get to say huge amount. And like, you know, then there are these other people who push back against these people. But like this response is what people like this are expecting. They are not expecting this. So I had a bit of fun with that. Now, I'm just going to skip this one because I know this is where some of the fun is. So we'll just go to the next one. Now, this comment, I think, came before this one, so I'll just read it. Don't worry, it's Hamas who has to worry and blah, blah. Uncle Donald. Really? You're going to simp that hard for Trump? God. Anyway, then the next one. I hope their train details... Can't even spell. I hope their train details on the way back over the bridge. Now, obviously, they mean derails because the Harbour Bridge does have trains going by, and the trains were still operating, but at a reduced rate because, I don't know, you don't want anyone to, like, be climbing over shit and accidentally get on the tracks. I don't know. This was such a big operation. Like, they shut down the bridge, I think, at 11:30, even though the protest wasn't due to go across at 1. I have a strong feeling it's because the cops needed to sweep it for, like, bombs or stuff. Because can you imagine so many people here? How much chaos you could cause with a terrorist incident on the bridge with that many thousands of people. So I have a feeling. Anyway, let's not plot anything or give anyone too many ideas. Now, someone has come along and angry reacted. This is the kind of response that they're expecting. You're such a disgusting human. You're as bad as Hamas. Now, this is a pro-Israel person, so calling them as bad as Hamas. This is, do that. Compare them to the people they hate. Make them have another think. But I want a different route. You want even more disruption to our city's critical infrastructure? Eye roll, face palm. Why did I leave that response? Because these people were saying, oh, don't let them go on the bridge. They're going to cause so much disruption. None of the cars will be able to get through. You know what a train derailment would do? It would have emergency vehicles all across the Harbour Bridge. Nothing would be able to get across. It'd probably take all damn night, and you're not getting across the bridge any faster. Like, if your problem with the protesters was blocking the bridge, derailing a train isn't going to fix that, is it? So what I've done, not political again, it's just practical, but it's also using their own shit against, their own arguments against them, which I had a bit of fun with. And then, I didn't actually look at this person's profile, but we've got someone else saying, fella with a gun talking tough, dumb bogan. Now, is this person real? Maybe, I don't know. And then we've got this one. So, this person is clearly responding to me saying, hope everyone gets home safe, right? And so then they're saying, unlike the young Israelis massacred by the animals this crowd is groveling to. Now, I don't think anyone is against the hostages coming home. Like, that's the whole reason Israel was able to have, or Netanyahu and his mob. That's the whole reason they were able to have an excuse that's internationally acceptable to go in the first place. Go and rescue the hostages and slap down Hamas for doing it, right? And I know at the time of filming, I'm pretty sure there's hostages who still haven't come home. Like, there was one on the news who was in a very bad shape. But I don't think there's anyone who would be like, oh, just leave him there, really. But the problem is that Israel has gone way too far and taken the excuse to, like, this stupid extreme that no one believes anymore. They're just bombing the shit out of whoever. They're killing people who are just trying to find food. Starvation is going around. That's what people are protesting. They're not protesting the rescue of hostages, but Israel has gone about it. I keep saying it. See, it's really hard not to speak like that, like Israel. No, it's not Israel. It's Netanyahu and his boys. They've just gone way too far. But anyway, I could say that. And, the animals this crowd is groveling to. I mean, it's a complex situation in Israel. Hamas are dicks, but you can kind of see, there's a lot of historical baggage. There is some religious baggage. There's the way that Israel has sort of fucked around with Palestine for ages. You can see where the resentment comes from. It's just no one is handling this the right way. The whole thing about them going to war and trying to kill each other. Come on. But never mind that. Instead of trying to explain any of those kinds of things, and I am simplifying, but instead of, even just trying to explain it takes too long. These people aren't going to read it. They don't care. They've already decided what side they're on. There's no point trying to push back. So this is what I replied. I hope everyone gets home safe. That includes the hostages. It includes people on the bridge at that time, and it includes the hostages. It includes the kids who were starving through no fault of their own. I hope everyone can go home safe. And you know, even really like the people perpetrating it, I hope they go home safe too, but there is a caveat there. They need to stop doing their bullshit to make that a possibility. Because if they're constantly fighting, no one's gonna be safe, is it? Anyway, didn't get a response, didn't get a reaction, but I'm pretty sure that's not what they're expecting, and I just had a bit of fun with that. And then we did finally get a protester, or someone on the side of the protesters. It was fine, the crowd stopped when asked to and didn't move until given the go-ahead. It was very civilized and no issues. So, they might have picked up on me being like, oh no, crown crush. But that, as far as the protesters go, that's the only thing that they tried to push back at me. So, in this whole exchange, the protesters, or the people on the side of the protesters, they were the more civilized ones. Although it's like a sample size of one. Although, you know, there are pushbacks. And, you know, some people like calling people dumb bogan instead of like giving a real argument and just saying, you just got a gun, like that is not the most intelligent response. But yeah, the one that pushed against me, yeah, fine. But let's get back to the most entertaining one, because you remember I said we're going on a bot hunt. So, this person, I hope they don't, as in, I hope they don't get home safe. And so someone comes along, oh, where were they? The first response is gone now. By the looks of things, I do have all comments. Well, the first response was, you know, aren't you charming, and, you know, you're horrible, and you're kind of as bad as Hamas, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. But when I came back, I said, sure, because a mass casualty event on the bridge would definitely have opened it back up to traffic much faster than just clearing everyone safely, drunk face. And this is similar to the derailment comment. Because can you imagine if there was crowd crush on the Harbour Bridge, and like how many, like trying to get ambulances to the people who needed it, trying to clear everyone out, trying to make it safe. The bridge was due to open back up at 4 because so many people turned up and there was a risk of crowd crush. They had to slow it down. I don't know what time the bridge was actually cleared and then finally opened up, but it was delayed as I understand it. But can you imagine if there was a mass casualty event? No one's getting to work on Monday morning. This happened on a Sunday night. Yeah. No one's getting to work on a Monday morning if there's mass casualties of 90,000 people on the Harbour Bridge. Like, are you kidding? You didn't want them to protest because they would be blocking traffic. What do you think a mass casualty event is going to do? And this is probably worse than if it was the train derailment, because at least the train is off to the side and maybe you could open a portion of the bridge for the next morning. But yeah, anyway. But now we come along with this Rattle Ross, who is one of those like locked accounts, probably not a real person, comes along with the laugh. Oh, you can't even see it. Sorry, I blocked it off. But yeah, comes on with the laugh react. And here, fuck off left hard. And I hope YouTube doesn't get upset with me saying that because I'm just describing the situation. But yeah, and there's not really anything in here that is particularly left-wing. Like, if anything, I mean, maybe just the fact that I pushed back. But that's not very, like, you know, I'm just sort of pointing out, hey, this isn't in your interests. And so I just said, interesting assumption you've made there, popcorn emoji. And of course, we get the laugh react again. And then the only response is, and there you go, left hard. Now this is where I'm like, all right, you're a bot NPC with preset replies instead of a human with reading comprehension. I wonder what you'll say next. Sure enough, we get our fucking lefty idiot comment, and it's like, this is where I put in the laugh react, because that was hilarious. Like, you can see what's happening here. I know how these things go, is people will just like leave these insults. They're not actually addressing anything you've said. They dismiss it all and they just say, oh, blah, 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 blah. And so maybe they're expecting me to be like, I'm not actually left-wing, or push back against the label or whatever, and I didn't. I just said, okay, that's an interesting assumption. I'm gonna get my popcorn out. And then they've just done the same thing. And it's like, did you not see the popcorn emoji that I'm waiting for you to do exactly that? And this is exactly like, if I had responded with any meaningful argument, they would have posted this anyway, and sort of, in terms of, like, in a way, they're trying to mock whatever argument I've come up with. And I didn't take the bait because it's so obvious what they're doing. Like, if you are in an argument, whether you're on the left or the right or the center just trolling like me, if you see this kind of response, you have to wonder, are they just a bot? Like, they're definitely a troll, but are they just a bot who's not even reading what you've read? They're just seeing that you've replied and then posting the next response. Because then I predict that they're just going to keep doing the same thing. And this is the same, that's exactly what they did. It's so obvious. And I just had a good laugh, sent it to my left-wing friend. And because, you know, he gets into arguments. He gets into more obviously pointless arguments because he actually cares about stuff, whereas I am jaded. But yeah, we both come across this kind of thing and sometimes share screenshots, and it's a good lot of fun. But yeah, we found us a bot. Because, you know, if they had any sense of human pride or whatever, and yes, I did put a Band-Aid over my burn. If they had any sense of pride, they wouldn't do this. Like, what they're expecting is, like, they send an insult, I'm supposed to push back, they're supposed to mock it, I'm supposed to push back again, and then they're mocking it again by calling me a lefty idiot. But they haven't read what I've actually wrote, and they've just made a fool of their own account. And did I report them as a fake account? I can't remember. Maybe I should if I haven't. But yeah, no, I just found that to be a lot of fun. And so that's what I'm calling, you know, I mean, after that, they couldn't respond again. Oh no, I couldn't respond to this either, because by this point the comments were off. But there was no point responding to it anyway, so I just left my laugh react. I'm surprised they didn't laugh react to this one. I don't know what went on there. Like, did I hit a nerve, or is it just like the bot missed it? Like, if it's a real person just copy pasting or being really dumb, I don't know. I could have hit a nerve, or maybe they just, yeah, glitched. Anyway, that's some fun centrist trolling and a bot hunt. And like, one way you can have fun with these, annoying internet arguments, instead of just getting emotionally upset. Like, I know some people get deep into these things, and I have seen those kinds of arguments going on, and they go nowhere. When you've got people so far on opposite sides of the spectrum, you know, they're not going to change their mind. So, and this is like, you know, if you've ever watched the thing about how do you change someone's mind, the first step is to meet them where they are and sort of just nudge them a bit more to your direction. Like, you know, listen to what they're saying and then ask questions about them, about their opinion, and then find common ground and sort of be like, okay, but if you think that, then why is this? Like, point out some of the inconsistencies and just get them to think a little bit. But you don't push back like hard. You have to do it slowly, because if you push back hard against someone, they push back even harder, because we all want to believe we're right, so we stick to whatever we're up to. I'm just going to close this before anyone messages me and ruins the whole thing. But yeah, they're just, you know, like, it's not going to work out well if you push too hard. And so I had a bit of fun, hang on, let me bring it back up. I had a bit of fun just, like, trolling, essentially. Like, I went with centrist, like, there's a bit of give and take for each side. I'm not on anyone's side, it's just a comment about the current situation. And it's reasonable, you know, like, yes, worried about crowd crush, hope everyone gets home safe. There's nothing off about that. There's nothing pro or anti one way or the other. But then, yeah, making sure everything I responded was centrist and kind of vague about what I actually think about things. Bot hunting. And yeah, using people's arguments against them. I had a bit of fun. Like, I wasn't trying to change anyone's minds. So, you know, that's why I just used their own arguments to show why their current statements were ridiculous. You know, hoping the train derails. Are you kidding? That's exactly against your own interests. If you were one of these people who were like, don't let them protest. Yeah, anyway, I think I've made my point. It's a fun thing to do if you're bored and you have the time and you can think about how to do the centrist thing and just make fun of these people who are extremists, who can't see any shades of grey. Can't see, like, this is why we can't have nice things. This is why people go to war, because they refuse to see each other's side. And, you know, I mean, there are people who get swept up in things, and I know conscription can put people in situations they don't want to be in. But yeah, it's just like, I mean, there's also the power mad leaderships. But when it comes to more ideological things, it's just like, why can't we just get along? Just listen to the other side, find a compromise. Never mind. Why am I even saying that? Because if there's any extremists who made it this far in the video and you're still extremists, nothing I say is going to change how you are. But maybe for those of you who are also centrists, and there's my brother who, yeah, I'm going to go and scare him off in a bit. But yeah, if there are any of you who are centrists here, like, maybe that's a fun way to engage in the conversation without getting too invested and just having some fun. Like, if you're there to try and change minds, you're going to be frustrated because it's not going to work. But if you're there to screw with people, that's where the good shit is. Anyway, I'm going to go scare off my brother, and I also need to pee, and then the dog will wake up, and chaos once again. Bye.